Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Make Gears Great Again. This video's topic is about fair play in Gears of War, and what I believe you could do to enjoy a more balanced battlefield, hopefully creating more actual competition among one another. So what does fair play mean for those that don't really know? In short, to have respect for the rules or equal treatment for all concerned. If you've ever done any actual sport, especially contact sports, you'll know what it feels like when you lose because of the rules being ignored. Depending on what sport you've seen or played, you might have also experienced a lot of emotions during matches because of this ignorance or error. But Dutch, why tell us about this when Gears of War is just a game? Well, back in the old days of Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, there was a thing called host advantage. What this meant was that the player who started the lobby would be the player everyone connected to, and thus had the strongest connection in the match, technically at 0 ping. This would allow them to be much more efficient because it never lagged and their shots would always connect, which resulted in many matches won for the host team simply because of that one specific player. However, there were exceptions to this, like that the other players that had a horrible connection to the host could also be massively unbalanced in the match, often completely steamrolling for teams simply because they didn't take any damage from anyone but the host. Now this made a lot of players give up on competing without having the connection to do as well as others. So as a result, players often use unwritten rules, like picking a neutral host because that way the teams would at least try to play as even as possible, or not playing against players you knew had a horrible connection. Now this wasn't done out of an external reason, this was out of mutual respect for each other's desire to win and add a personal value to playing fair. Now with the current generation of games, there are dedicated servers, but this still doesn't justify bad sportsmanship because many players often have bad connection to the selected server, which only breeds problems if both teams don't respect each other enough. Now if you're a recreational gamer, you will play something purely for the fun and enjoying of going through the motion of playing, so you most likely won't pay attention to these rules of the game. But I ask you to watch anyway so you get a better understanding of it all. In many games, you have a sport way of playing the game. For montage players, there are rules in place to uphold a certain standard. That way you can track whether or not you're good enough to call yourself a montage player. While for the quote-unquote competitive players, they also have different rules on their ways of competing. That way they both agree on the terms of winning. And if someone cheats or ignores these rules, then the win doesn't count. See, in Gears of War it's the same, because it's a rare game that allows you to be both recreational and or competitive. But you have to be by your own decision. Now do you see where I'm going with this? If not, here's another reason why fair play is important to use while playing. It can keep things exciting for both teams. I know it's hard to believe, but there are players out there who don't like winning by shutting out the other team with 0 points or rounds, especially in Gears of War. And on the other hand, there are players who aren't fond of losing by not even getting a chance to shoot at anyone straight out of spawn or getting teamed up against constantly. But in my honest opinion, I don't see the point in bragging about winning if you've had 0 challenge or simply teamed up against single targets. In this day and age, players will take just about any win they can get, and I'm here trying to change that. I want you to motivate the other players to want to earn their win. So as an example, if you believe you're the better player, skill-wise, then give the other player chances to fight back, rather than giving him or her no chance at all. Same goes for the worst player. Don't be afraid to take on stronger players just because they're better at the game than you, especially if they're not driven by ego, because then they'll allow you to fight on equal grounds. All of this is very important to do, even in video games, because it stimulates competition and growth within ourselves. For the better players, it allows you to practice under pressure of already being shot or hurt, while the newer players get a chance at actually fighting someone instead of always having to hide or guessing what's going to happen next. Okay, so you've heard me say a few examples of what you can already do to make things a bit fair among each other, but where do you draw the line? It's actually quite easy to do once you've actually established the line. If you notice while playing that both teams start at equal grounds and terms, then continue playing this way. Don't be that person or team that takes an unnecessary step to win. For example, if you've played Gears of War 1 or Ultimate Edition, you'll know that the Hammer of Dawn has unlimited ammo. And if you're persistent, You can camp at one spot the entire game and have zero chance of dying because no one can beat the laser beam from f***ing outer space. Which basically ruins the game for not only the other team, but also your teammates. Unless they're the who want to win at any cost possible without actually playing themselves. Now say you agree, and you go out in the world of Gears of War and you start playing and it's working and you're having fun and competing against better or worse opponents because you're purposely lowering or heightening your aggression because you want to give it an honest try. But then you notice the other team starts to teabag or call you bad because you lost to them. So what do you do then? And this is a prime example of others being ignorant or arrogant. Something you'll see plenty of in Gears of War and that I like to change with your help. But I'm not going to lie to you. There's no real reward behind fair play, but the reward of knowing that you played according to a mutual set of rules that made it even for both sides. You know, whether you win or lose. This is about a certain standard of respect and love for the game and the competition among each other. So play the game however you want, but understand that your choices have consequences, whether you care or not. If you decide to bring more respect to the table than others, then lead by example and show others why it's better to play that way than trashing one another for not playing that way. So that's it for this episode about fair play. Did you feel like I missed anything, or did you agree/disagree? Then leave a comment on what it is. My name's Dutch and this has been Make Gears Great Again. Till next time.